it might make sense just to get some in case it catches on. If enough people think the same way, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Satoshi Nakamoto. There could not have been more truer words, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so how much Bitcoin do we need? That's the answer right there. 240 something thousand Satoshis as of this recording. You see the price of Bitcoin just over 30,000. I'm recording this right before midnight Thursday, June 29th. Given that a Bitcoin currently costs a little over $30,000, there are only enough Bitcoins for every person to have a little over $70 worth. If Bitcoins were distributed using the current global distribution of wealth, 99.9% of people would have $14 and some change worth of Bitcoins. And people in the top 0.001% would have 0.73 Bitcoins, or right around 3/4 of a Bitcoin. You'll be 0.001% of the world. And that's not a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. So let's break this down, right? So there's a lot of things to uncover here. There's a lot different variables that we have to put into place, right? How old you are, how much you want, how much you believe in it, how much you're willing to risk, how much do you want to put in, what percentage of your portfolio do you plan on, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to pass it down to your children and never spend it? Do you want to spend it all and YOLO, you only live once? There's a lot of different things. So this is not a cookie cutter situation, but let me give you my thoughts on Bitcoin and what this means. Okay. I truly believe Bitcoin is either going to do one or two things. It's either going to take over the world and be the world reserve currency one day, or the world standard. We're going to go on a Bitcoin standard, or it's going to go to zero. There is no in between with Bitcoin, just because of the way it's set up and the protocol and the network and, just the way it is. And if you know the math, you know the math, right? With the halvings and everything else, and Bitcoin has just been increasing, not in just dollar prices, but in purchasing power of the less amount of Bitcoin it takes to buy a certain amount of things, right? So first of all, let's talk about the 21 million. So we always hear that number, 21 million Bitcoin. There will be never 21 million Bitcoin, okay? Now we know that we're getting right around 900 Bitcoin per day, right? So let me break it down for you. We get about we get 6.25 Bitcoin. The miners mine 6.25 Bitcoin about every 10 minutes, and there's about 144 blocks a day, which makes about 900 Bitcoin, give or take a few, right? And then once the block hits every 210,000 blocks, and we hit the 840th block, that'll be the fourth halving, the 840 total block on the blockchain, the supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half. Just gets cut in half. And instead of being 6.25 every 10 minutes, it's going to be 3.125 every 10 minutes. And instead of getting 900 a day, roughly, we're going to get roughly 450 Bitcoin per day. And this is probably 10 months from now, approximately. With that being said, I think the halving this year, with all the stuff going on, it's really, because everything's about supply and demand, ladies and gentlemen. This is why we get precious metals and things that are rare, and real estate goes up because you're not making any more of it, right? You got to get stuff that's the supply is low and the demand is high, and that's what's going to be happening to Bitcoin. So I suggest you do your research on it and how the network works and everything. But what do you need? There's so many different variables to it. But that right there, that number, 200 something thousand Satoshis. Now remember, there are 100 million Satoshis in every one Bitcoin, as you can see. And you can see the chart there, right? It's an ingenious situation, man. And the reason why I say there'll never be 21 million, because there's been lost coins, right? That's number one. People have died with their key phrases. People have lost their key phrases. There's a few million. I've heard between 3 to 7 million have been lost. The least amount I've heard is 3 million. The most I've heard is 7 million. So I have no idea what's lost or not. But there will never be more than 21 million, and there never will be 21 million. And right now, as you can see, we're at right about there, a little bit over 19 million Bitcoin. And again, we get every 10 minutes 6.25 Bitcoins, roughly every 10 minutes. So we're dealing with a finite amount, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a lot. And with the hodlers, the hold on for dear life people with Bitcoin, they don't sell their Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. They don't. And I'm going to explain to you why in a minute. And then on the exchanges and people trading it back and forth, there's not a lot out there. So when these big companies come in these countries and these different industries and individuals and stuff like that, because normally when you have besides Michael Saylor, okay, but normally when you have a big investment, usually the investors get in first, the big companies get in first. It's not like that with Bitcoin. The people got into it first. And I know Michael Saylor and MicroStrategies did. They have the most Bitcoin, I think, at 152,333 Bitcoin. My Lord. The reason why people would never sell their Bitcoin, and what they mean by sell is trade it for fiat currency. Because that, in the traditional sense, that's what we normally talk about in this paradigm we're in. Because money's been like this for a long time with the fiat currency. But we obviously know, being in the industry that we're in, that fiat currency is dying. And they're moving over to a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. And we're not going to have it. And a lot of people that have precious metals think that that's going to be the way. I just don't think so. I think precious metals have its place. But Bitcoin is the one that's going to fight against the CBDCs. It's not going to be precious metals. And the reason why the hodlers, the hold on for dear life people, don't sell is because they're not going to sell for a dying currency. You know, it's an inferior currency. We don't buy Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, us Bitcoiners. We trade a dying political currency unit for the apex predator, and that's Bitcoin. I believe, and I said this in my last video, 6 to 10 years from now, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, I don't know, but that's my time frame. They're going to have a lot of places accepting Bitcoin. Now, I don't know what the price is going to be, because remember, I'm not even talking about US dollars. I'm just talking about what the purchasing power of a Bitcoin is. Like right now, it takes 2 Bitcoin, I believe, to get 1 kilo of gold. I think in the future, it's going to cost a lot less Bitcoin to get the same gold. Everything is going to basically, a lot of the experts say everything's going to zero in comparison to Bitcoin. I know it's going to be a lot cheaper in Bitcoin prices. But we think in 6 to 10 years that we're going to be able to transact in Bitcoin. And what I'm doing now is I'm just dollar cost and averaging. I'm just buying, Bitcoin every single day. I'm buying Satoshis every day. It's going to cost you about maybe $30 or $31 to get 100,000 Satoshis. And that doesn't seem like a lot now in US dollar terms, but I believe 100,000 Satoshis is going to give you a lot of purchasing power in the future. Because remember, this is a global asset. There's a lot of people, more than half of the people in the world, out of 8 billion people, are unbanked. They don't have a bank account, because us in the West, and particularly in the United States, we're just so used to, just going and open up a bank account and that's it. That's not a luxury they have in third world countries and some second world countries. It's just not. And you can take any phone now with basically an internet connection and be your own bank and have your bank right there on your phone with Bitcoin. And that's a technology we've never seen before. This is not PayPal or Venmo or Apple Pay or nothing like that. This right here, Bitcoin, doesn't have a third party intermediary, the person that's in between. It just doesn't have it. So what I'm doing now, when you see a cold storage device like maybe this, or I think that's a calculator right there, when you put your Bitcoin on, you just save it. You just save it. And I do have and that's called a cold storage. It's cold because it's not on the internet. But then you have a hot storage, or a cold wallet, or a hot wallet, where you can put on your phone, like I said yesterday, the Moon wallet, the MUUN wallet. And that's a hot wallet that you have on your phone because it's connected to the internet. So you don't want to have that much quote unquote money on there. You want to only have a few bucks on there, or a few Satoshis on there. Like if you drop your wallet, just like a real wallet in your real life, you have a wallet in your pocket and then you have your bank account. You don't want to carry, $80,000 in your pocket. If let's say your net worth is $80, you have $80,000 in cash. Maybe you have $80 or $800 on you, maybe. on your wallet in your pocket. That's what your Moon wallet is. And I do have a little bit on my Moon wallet, but 99.9% of my Bitcoin are on the cold storage. It's mine. It's in my head. It's in my brain wallet. I have my 12 or 24 word password, and I have taken responsibility to keep my own bank. I can go anywhere in the world and just have my password in my head, and then wherever I go, I can just buy a new cold storage. Even if I don't bring one of these, if I do bring it, I just put it in there. But if I don't bring it, I just buy a new one, put the password in, and boom, I'm good to go. And there's never been a technology like that, ladies and gentlemen. Banks can be seized when you put your money in a bank. It's not your money. It's not. And I love my silver and stuff, but if something happens where I have to flee the country, I can't, and I have a lot of silver. I can't bring this silver with me. I'm going to have to convert it either into cash or Bitcoin. And if I put it into cash, you know what they're going to do with anything over $10,000. So that's why I put a lot of my net worth, if I had to go, on my brain wallet in the cold storage. So I believe one day that we're going to be transacting in Bitcoin, and my plan is to spend maybe 1 to 3% of that. And you're not going to need much, and that's what you need. 200 something thousand Bitcoin, which costs you 70 something bucks today, to get your fair share. Now, this number is based on about 8 billion people divided by 19.4 million Bitcoin. The thing is, I don't think we can't count all 8 billion people, because I don't think we're going to have 100% of people in the world. So I think it's going to be less than that. So if it's going to be less than that, then the numbers are going to go down, or you're going to need more Bitcoin. But in contrast, there's not 19 million Bitcoin available. There's not a lot available. Maybe 13, 14, 15 million Bitcoin. So do the math, ladies and gentlemen. Do the studying. Learn about it. It's not all about getting rich or how much Bitcoin you need. It's really learning the new system. Because every time I look at a chart of Bitcoin, it reminds me of horsepower. For thousands of years, human beings used horses. That's what we used to travel. And when the trains came out and when the automobiles came out, we had to measure, how do we measure the power of the car? And you know what they used to say? Oh, it's got 100 horsepower or whatever. And it's so funny because we're taking the new paradigm shift and comparing it to the old. And that's what I look at when I look at Bitcoin. When I look at how many dollars it takes to buy a certain amount of Bitcoin or Satoshis or whatever, it's just like looking at horsepower for a car to me. And Bitcoin is obviously the car and the automobile and the train in this example. So again, guys, just learn it, get off zero, do the work, ladies and gentlemen. That's the most important part. Me personally, if I were you and I was brand new, and I'm telling you what I did two and a half years ago when I first got in, is I went and bought some. But I did learn about it first, and I was listening to a bunch of people that didn't know what they were talking about. You got to learn from people that are in the industry. Don't be in an echo chamber with precious metal stackers or anybody else that don't know what they're talking about. Learn it from people that do know what they're talking about and that can teach you about Bitcoin. Read the white paper and learn about it as much as you can. You know what I mean? And then once you learn about it, then buy some and allocate it to the risk and all the variables that I talked about based on what it is for you personally. But me personally, I can't get enough of it. Again, Bitcoin's it's either going to take over the world or it's going to zero. I'm too old to put everything I have into Bitcoin, because I just don't have time to start all over again, because I'm coming towards my twilight years and I'm not working as much. But if I'm telling you, if I was in my 20s, I love silver, but I'd trade all my silver for Bitcoin. Not because silver's not good, but in comparison to Bitcoin, if you know, man. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say about it, man. Just do the numbers. There it is one more time. That's how much Bitcoin you need. That's the updated one. I just took that picture just now. And do the math and do the work and get off zero. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm in a tough position, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a silver stacker. I love, freedom and the Constitution and everything else, but I'm a Bitcoiner, hardcore. And every single day I learn something more about Bitcoin. And the more and more I learn about it, the more and more I love it. And I just truly believe that one day it will be freedom money, and it'll set not only us and our family, but generations to come free. Because without the money, if you can't fix the money, there's too many problems. And I think Bitcoin fixes all those problems. So I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. And let me know if you guys have Bitcoin. What is your allocation? Not how much you have, or you don't have to tell me that, but you give me your percentages or whatever you want to tell me, and leave me your thoughts. And if I left anything out, leave it in the comments. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.